Hey Go community, this week it's just Zach and I, and we're talking about beat-em-ups and sharing some of our favorite titles in the genre. In news, we finally have some more information about the second part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, as well as some other fun Final Fantasy information. And then new games we played this week include Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, and Switch Sports. Spoiler alert, they're both pretty good. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 402 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It is Sunday, June 19th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me is my good friend, somebody who I finally figured out what I'm going to get him for Christmas, but I can't talk about it on the show, Mr. Zach Parkerson.
That's a weirdly early tease.
Well, I mean, I just saw it today, and I know you have to have it. It's I actually shared it with you today. It's Witcher 3 related.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, friends are great. I love friends.
Oh, boy. Sometimes I wish we weren't a family-friendly podcast because, boy, did I actually, somebody sent it to me, and I immediately sent it to you because I thought it was hilarious. But, yeah. Sorry, guys. We can't talk about it here, but...
Right. It is the kind of gift that keeps on giving, though.
Yeah, that's a good point. You have to hit us up on Messenger or something if you want to know what that is and see the link.
The dark zone on our Discord.
Yeah, I did put it in the dark zone on the Discord, so you can see it over there. But yeah, it is just Zach and I today. The schedules just worked out this way. We're actually recording on Father's Day, so CB wasn't able to be here, and I think Alyssa was spending time with her dad. So since Zach and I are both good distances away from our fathers, we were able to record. So we are here.
Bad sons and worse fathers, so here we are.
But yeah, it will be just us. I feel like it's been a long time since we've just sat down, just the two of us, man.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, hey, it's nice. I mean, I love Alyssa and CV, obviously, but I mean, we just talked nonsense for like 30 minutes before recording. So.
I was just gonna say that we just sat here and talked about whatever for a good half hour, and we're gonna just keep the train right on rolling. So maybe we should have kept the mic on. People probably wanted to hear us talk about The Flash, and what else are we talking about?
They just wanted me to try to explain DC continuity to Scott, or
oh yeah, we should do a whole Patreon episode on that. But let's talk about some games. Zach, what have you been catching up on?
Well, I've been trying not to talk about it because I've been slowly working through Final Fantasy X. But I'm now very near to the end, and I just wanted to say I will no longer be accepting the argument that Final Fantasy 13 is too linear.
Why is this game linear?
This game is a straighter line, even.
Really?
This game, I firmly and fully believe this game is more linear than Final Fantasy 13.
Interesting. I like Final Fantasy 13, but
yeah, and I loved it, and that's why I'm saying it. And I'm loving Final Fantasy 10 as well. I think they actually have kind of similar storytelling sensibilities as well, but Final Fantasy 10 is beloved. So it's weird to me that 13 gets this short end of the stick about its terrible. It doesn't feel like a Final Fantasy game at all. There are also not towns with shops in Final Fantasy X.
Huh, interesting.
You're basically on a road trip, to visit these different temples, and there are inns along the way, but the city shopkeeper that's with you is the same guy the whole time. He's just like a traveling merchant who's traveling with your group.
Right.
So it's just funny to me that, like,
it's convenient.
Yeah. Hey, it's good business.
Yeah.
It's just been cracking me up as I've been playing it. And now at the very end, here's a more open area where you can do some side quests and stuff, much like Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah.
And much like Final Fantasy 13, it took 30 hours to get there.
That's so what's the weird disconnect with that? Why are people okay with it with that one, but not with 13?
It's very strange to me.
Is it kind of like they're upset that they did it again? Like try to pass it off like it's a new thing they did in the Final Fantasy game and it was done in 10?
I mean, I don't remember it being a complaint when 10 came out. I don't know about you.
I didn't know it was there. I never played 10, so I didn't know that. I actually saw 10-2 more than 10 because my buddy was playing it and he hated it. He said felt like he was playing dress up all the time or something.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten there yet, but that is my remembering of Final Fantasy X-2 as well.
Yeah.
But that was fine. Why would you not want to dress up a bunch of cute anime ladies?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's crazy. But anyway, it's great. I'm enjoying it. It has quite a difficulty ramp here at the end, or maybe I'm just choosing the wrong side stuff to go. You know what? Even actually, all the side stuff is you're picking things from a map for your airship to go to. You're not even flying your airship around or exploring a wide open area. You're just basically fast traveling to different linear areas.
Oh, so it's not really an open world.
So yeah, I would actually say it's less open than
It's like
13.
an overworld map instead of like Mario 3 kind of thing where you just kind of...
But it's so disappointing. It's disappointing because when you have an airship in the Final Fantasy games, it's fun to fly around the map.
Yeah, even Final Fantasy VI had that.
Yeah, of course. But anyway, it is really good, and if anybody has skipped it, definitely pick up the HD version. I think it's a lot of fun.
It was on Game Pass. I have to
Even
check
better.
and see if it's still is. I could be wrong. It was at one point, but you know what I really want to do, and you and I were talking about this a little bit this week. I want to go back and finish Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah,
because I played the crap out of that game when I was a kid, and I got to the last disc, like where they're in space. I got to as far as when they were in space, I think. Did you see that? Did I just ruin it for you?
No. Yeah, with Squall and Renoa, they're floating out, it's romantic, etc.
Yeah. And that's like the last thing I remember. I don't know how far away from the end I was, but the word Ragnarok was thrown around at some point, I think.
It's weird. Yeah, I don't know, because that's the same thing that happened to me with 10 as I was replaying it, and I got up to the boss that I gave up to when I was a kid, and I'm like, man, I was so close.
Oh,
what was I?
Real close to the end.
Yeah, what were we thinking?
I don't know. And dude, Final Fantasy VIII. I mean, I was very hyped for it, obviously, because of how much I love 7, right? Mm-hmm. So whichever one's going to come after that. I remember when that trailer came out, or it wasn't a trailer, it's like the opening cinematic for the game. No joke, dude, I must have watched that thing 50 times.
Yeah, I mean, it's sick.
It just everything about it was so good. And finally played. I've actually been listening to the Final Fantasy VIII soundtrack, like while I've been doing some writing and stuff, and it just brings me back. Like, even without looking at the tracks, I know where it is. Like, I knew that when it was the Triad game, the card game, and that was built into there. I'm like, oh, that's from that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think I'm going to go back once I get my my plate clear of review stuff that I'm doing and go back and play Final Fantasy VIII.
8's pretty easy to play because it's not like a super challenging one.
Yeah, isn't that the one where like you don't even have to fight the enemies? All you have to fight is bosses?
I believe like speedrunners don't level up in Final Fantasy VIII because it keeps the enemies at level 1 with you or whatever.
Right.
So grenades can actually do more damage because the grenade damage is fixed, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correct, so the grenade can do more damage versus their low level defense than your attacks would.
Right.
Which is hilarious.
Did you do this when you were a kid? I would just sit and draw from enemies for like the entire fight.
Yeah.
And max out.
I would get home after school and just draw for that evening or whatever. That way tomorrow I'll be ready to go.
Exactly. But now we've got podcasts. You know what I mean? It's not like
how did I do it with just sitting there with silence?
Yeah. We didn't even put on CDs or anything like that. Now I could just sit and draw. I have to decide if I do play that game, if I'm going to spend the time to do that or not. But man, I missed that game, and I just really want to see what happens at the end. There was the whole side thing with the soldiers. So it was like a flashback. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, with Laguna.
Yeah, I don't remember what the story was. I just remember thinking that was super awesome when I was a kid. They're somehow connected, but I don't remember. I remember.
Your party dreams about this old party, but it's stuff that really happened. Yeah.
That was so cool. And I remember the assassination attempt on, was it Ultimecia? Was that her name?
Yeah.
And the guy with the sniper, he had a shot lined up and then he just couldn't pull the trigger and I
choked.
Yeah. I just thought that whole thing was so cool and just really well really good storytelling. And I, for the life of me, can't remember why I stopped.
Yeah.
Same with Lost Odyssey, actually. Lost Odyssey, I got really far.
I remember why I stopped with Lost Odyssey, and I think you may share this. There's a boss where it's just a astronomical difficulty spike from what became before.
Right. And then you had to just basically grind in order to...
For hours, but it was just insane because you're breezing through the dungeon before him.
Right.
And then you get to him, and it's just a nightmare.
Game looks so good, though. I remember that first time I saw it, I'm like, yes, this is the JRPG I've been looking for a long time.
It's a good vibe, Lost Odyssey. That's one I would love to go back to play as an adult.
I love the little storytelling things in between where you had to read is it dreams you're reading or something?
Yeah, it's like a book of 1,000 dreams. It's because Kai's been alive for 1,000 years, so it's all of his scattered memories you get to read through, but they're always tragic as hell.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Anyway, yeah, all that you talk about Final Fantasy 10 and
anyway, 10, great.
Yeah. As for me,
there's a summon you have to pay every time he attacks. I think that's hilarious.
you have to pay him like Gil?
Yeah, you have to pay him in gil. So first you have to recruit him. He looks like a Ronin samurai, like a samurai for hire.
Mm-hmm.
First you have to like give him almost 200,000 gil just to recruit his services.
Uh-huh.
But then when you summon him, you have to pay him every attack.
Wow.
But it's hilarious because sometimes he'll look at it and be like offended at such a low offering and he'll just do like this basic attack. But then sometimes I don't know what triggers it, but like there was one time he was like low on health and I tried to pay him a bunch of money and he just like refused it and then did his ultimate attack anyway. It was almost as if he's like, no, this one's personal. It was fun. I don't know. It's what an interesting gimmick.
That is cool. Is the story good in that one too? I don't know anything about it.
Oh yeah, I'm liking the story quite a bit. It's getting a little Final Fantasy at the end, a little like almost a little Nomura here at the end, a little outrageous, but it is. The whole game is drenched in melancholy, which I did not remember. Like it's a pretty sad adventure.
Okay, I may have to add that one to the list too now.
I think it's very strong.
All right. As for me, I am still picking away at Rogue Legacy 2. I beat another boss this week. So remember in the first Rogue Legacy, there was like a door at the beginning that like every time you beat a boss, it kind of peeled away something from that door. That's where you actually go fight the final boss of the game. Mm-hmm. In this one, there's 6 of them, and I've got 1 left now. So, and I actually know where the boss is. It's really cool, man. They do some really cool stuff with this formula. They've changed it quite a bit. Like, this boss that I'm fighting is like a giant dragon that's chained up, but at least I assume he's the boss because I go talk to him and he's chained up and he's like, I'll help you find where you need to go if you free me. And so in order to free him, I have to go through this procedurally generated, 2D dungeon and find these doors that take me to a mini boss that I have to fight, which unshackles him, and then I have to go once he's unshackled. Go fight him? I assume fight him. I've only got one of the shackles so far, but it's just so cool at what they've done with this game in terms of each of the 6 levels does something different. There's some unique way for you to find something, and they give you clues along the way and never actually spell it out for you. You just have to follow these clues to figure out how to progress through that level. But the level is procedurally generated. You know what I mean? So the thing that you have to do is going to be in a completely different place every time. It's awesome. Seriously in love with Rogue Legacy 2.
I think that's for a game that to me I was surprised that Rogue Legacy needed a sequel, but it sounds like it really earns it.
Yeah, I actually kind of felt the same way because the Rogue Legacy one was so good and just very easy to pick up and play again because the difficulty just ramps up with you based on your level and your play style. But the quality of life stuff they've done here is seriously impressive. And I feel like nobody's talking about it. I don't see anybody playing it.
I mean, I guess, a lot of games come out now. So it's just hard to, but you're right. Nobody is talking about it, which is surprising.
Yeah.
But, Steam has put out over 5,000 games this year already. So
5,000 this year?
Yeah. I just read that the other day.
That is insane.
Yeah. It makes a gaming podcast tough to keep up with.
It sure does, man. It sure does. I also finished KO the Kangaroo this week.
Do you find your last collectibles?
I didn't. Man. I didn't. You heard me complain about this over text message, but this game has the Mario 64 deal where you can't access the level until you have enough stars. In this case, they're runes. And either I've missed an entire level or something, but I needed 2 more to be able to fight the final boss. And I literally got everyone on every level that I could find. Turns out I had missed an entire level. But yeah, like the game lets me just skip a level. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's no checklist of like, you go, here are all the levels in this world. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's kind of interesting though.
I mean, it's just like it's okay. So this game works almost like a hub and spoke, but imagine each world is its own hub and spoke. So the opening one is like this island where he lives, where KO the Kangaroo lives, and then there are all these different portals scattered all around this mini map basically. And then once you get all those, you hop on a plane and you go to the next one, and that one now has all these portals. So I kind of dig that, but the game makes you scour everywhere to find these portals, and there's no like it's very difficult to tell which one is which. You know what I mean? There's no distinctive markings as to like to be able to remember. Oh yeah, I've been to that one, or this is one I haven't seen before. You actually have to like approach it, look at it, see what you've collected, and do that. But anyway, I needed 2 more. Could not find 2 more runes. All I wanted to do was beat this final boss, and scoured everywhere, and then just happened to stumble into a whole extra level on one of the hub and spoke deals, and got 4 more runes. So now I've got 2 more than I needed in order to get to the final boss, and I have no idea if there's another level I've missed. If I didn't miss any levels, that means that I have to collect every single rune in the game except for 2 in order to beat the game.
See, because it's such a weird number in that scenario, I feel like, there's like a bunch of worlds maybe tucked away in corners or something.
Maybe. Because, I mean, there are also runes like scattered in each individual world, like where the portals are to go to the levels, but it tells you how many are there. And you just kind of walk around and just try to find them. They're not super difficult to find, but they're not fun to find either. You know what I mean? It doesn't require any like interesting platforming or puzzle solving. It's behind a tree. You know what I mean? It's just
that's not fun.
No, it's really not. So, but then it becomes a necessity to do that. So, I really wanted to love this game, man. It looks great.
It does.
The controls are just work the way you want them to. But then the combat is just whatever. You literally just have like a 3-hit combo, and that's it. Like you press the button 3 times, attack, big attack.
That's definitely like PS1 platformer kind of rules, though, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to like it. I'm just saying, like, Spyro, it was either the headbutt dash or the spinning of the tail.
Right. I mean, in some cases, I guess I could appreciate the simplicity of it, but I feel like those games still tried to do something different with, like, the bosses, at least, that were interesting.
Right.
And to be fair, K.O. the Kangaroo does that.
I'm not trying to say your criticism is not valid.
Right.
He also has boxing gloves, so you probably want to use them.
Right. But then, like, I don't know if I just told you, there are these extra powers you get. Like, you can get a fire attack, an ice attack, and a wind attack. Which you'd think, okay, this is cool. It makes you don't just use them as an attack. You only have 3 of them at one point, and it never becomes they're more for like these. I'm not even going to say puzzles. I would say puzzles in air quotes if I were going to talk about this, because you come across like a piece of wood that is blocking your path. Oh, I need fire in order to do that. So that means somewhere around here is the power up to give me fire. You acquire it eventually, like in the second world or whatever. But then it's almost like mana. You have 3 slots to be able to use this fire attack. So whenever you find this board that needs to be burned, you just know that somewhere around the room you have to find one. It's never an interesting thing. You know what I mean? Like it's never like a puzzle to solve. It's just like go around the corner and there's this thing that you need. So now make the path. And because of that, then you never get to use it as an attack. Which is what you would want to do. You'd want to make the combat more interesting by letting me light up this character or blow him away or freeze him and then, something like that. And no, it's just used to traverse the level.
Provide any, variety at all.
Right. And then you could interchange any of them at any point. Like the fire one could be swapped with the wind one or not that's a bad example. Like the ice one is one where like you have to freeze the lake in order to be able to slide a ice block across it. But it's not like a cool Zelda like puzzle where you have to figure out which way to maneuver that block to be able to get to where it needs to or anything like that. It's just just slide it. That's it. Just slide it once. And I couldn't do that before. You know what I mean?
You're not. Yeah. Sounds like a bullet was dodged. Honestly.
You're welcome. Because you were supposed to review this game,
right? Yeah.
I wish you could just try it though, just to see if I'm crazy or not. But and they're charging $30 for it, which is a little weird to me. So anyway, K.O. the Kangaroo, if it goes on sale for $5, it's definitely geared towards kids. Like it's not difficult at all. And to the game's credit, it does some interesting things. Like it has your typical, like fire level and ice level and all that kind of stuff. But then they do there's a level that's like a carnival or a circus.
Oh, that's fun.
I feel like we don't have circus levels in anything anymore. Like it's almost like a fun house. And I was like, oh man, this is pretty cool. I like that. But and then there are like I know you love grinding sections. Like when you grind a rail
and Ratchet and Clank and stuff.
Yeah. They have some in here that are genuinely fun, or some escape sequences. Where you do the Crash Bandicoot deal, where you're running at the screen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? And,
very classic.
And those are fun. I really like those, but they're so short lived. And then you just go back to the humdrum rest of the game. But anyway, I'll stop talking negatively about it. Let's go ahead and move on and jump to the week's news. Have a new trailer for a game called Atari Mania coming to Switch, PC, and Atari VCS this summer. Got a lot of news about Final Fantasy VII because they had their 25th anniversary celebration this past week. And apparently, Lollipop Chainsaw is coming back. And also, what I thought made interesting news this week is that Diablo Immortal has made $24 million in microtransactions in its first 2 weeks, which is interesting considering how much everybody hates that game. But it made a lot of money.
Funny how that always works.
I know, right? Zach, where do you want to start?
I mean, you don't even have to ask here.
I know.
Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary celebration.
Mm-hmm.
If you thought you need a lot more than one Final Fantasy VII game, it turns out.
Which is so crazy to me. I mean, obviously it's popular for a reason, but
it's its whole universe, right? I mean, I guess the big one right at the top was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, finally announced, coming next year to PS5. This is Remake Part 2.
I was not expecting that.
I was expecting an announcement of
here's a teaser,
of the name and the logo.
Yep.
And we got so much more than that. We got Cloud and Sephiroth walking hand in hand. Talking about obviously not really, but talking about changing fate and stuff. I don't want to give away the ending to 7 or anything, but it was very exciting, man.
Yeah, it's hard to answer on that. I know. People say, "Oh, you can't spoil a game that's 20 years old or whatever, 25 years old, I guess." But some people, this is the first time they've played it, so I don't want to I don't want to just flat out say the things that we're referencing. But
ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake was not the ending to Disc 1 of Final Fantasy VII as we knew it anyway.
Correct.
But
it feels like they are going in a completely different direction. Things that happened in the original game sound like they may not happen at all, which I kind of love. I really do love it. The story will still feel fresh to me.
Yes. I'm with you 100%, and I know I'm sure there are people disappointed, right? Because we wanted the Final Fantasy VII Remake for so long, and then we got 95% of one.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, and now they're just obviously going in a completely different direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm very excited for what comes next. And yes, it's not going to be the same as what we got, but honestly, Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis coming to phones is a complete retelling of the original Final Fantasy VII storyline. So you will have a modern looking version of Final Fantasy VII to play if you want that.
How does that work, by the way? Is it just telling the story, or is it a game, or what's going on there?
Yeah, from my understanding, it is, at least so far, it's like Crisis Core and FF7 stitched together. When they announced it 2 years ago, maybe,
mm-hmm.
their pitch was just it's going to be a playable version of all of the story that we've seen of the Final Fantasy VII world before, but like in one style. So instead of the combat of Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII or whatever, it is like one new turn-based combat system that'll be shared amongst this story that'll go through the whole timeline that we know.
Okay.
But the important part is that it is the original story being retold.
Okay. So that will satiate us, or at least the people that are like the hardcore purists of Final Fantasy VII, right?
I feel like the natural defense of that will be like, yeah, but I don't want to play it on my phone. But look at Square Enix's track record. They are more than happy to put their mobile games on consoles when they're done.
Right.
So yeah, just be patient. But you don't need to worry about that because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth looks so amazing. What do you care about the original version anymore? Come on.
Yeah. I exclusive to PS5, although I think they said it's coming to PC at some point, right? Because
I'm sure it will because the first one did. But the important news is, it's not on Xbox.
Right, because I thought that I was expecting that to be announced that the first remake would be on Xbox.
Yeah, something had to have happened because when FF7 Remake was announced for PS4, it was announced as a one-year exclusive. So I think I think they went back in there and renegotiated that deal.
Mm-hmm. It has to be.
So we'll probably have to wait for the whole. So if you want to play it on Xbox, you might have to wait until the whole darn FF7 trilogy is wrapped up.
Right, which sucks because I would like to replay Remake before jumping into Rebirth, and I would like to play it on another platform. To.
No, I understand. I play it on PS5. Get your new trophies.
Oh, that's right. It does have new trophies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Remake Integrate. Yeah, I have. It was one of the first things I bought on PS5 because Remake is so good. And, we also got the confirmation that it'll be in 3 parts, much like we all thought, like 1 disc per remake.
What do you think the third game will be called? They have to go with the the prefix there.
You would think, but it's Square Enix, so it could just be like Final Fantasy VII Celebrate the New World or some nonsense.
It'll be a whole paragraph subtitle.
But I don't know. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII, Remake, Rebirth, Return, Reset, if Sephiroth accomplishes his goal.
Right. Reset would make sense. I don't think that's a fancy enough word, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, remake's not very fancy.
Reinvigorate or something like that. You know what I mean? It's got to be...
Yeah, Resurrection.
I would be angry if they did that.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not a prefix word.
That's correct, but it is a Square Enix we were discussing.
That's true. That wasn't the thing that got you most excited though about this celebration, was it?
Oh, I think it was, but I'm also very excited, obviously, for Crisis Core. Mm-hmm. Final Fantasy VII Reunion, they're calling it. It's this is exciting because I did not see this coming.
I didn't either.
So this is a PSP game from back in the mid 2000s, and it was the prequel to Final Fantasy VII, where you got to play as Zack, who is one cool dude with an awesome name. Everybody loves him.
So were you more drawn to this because of Final Fantasy VII, or because the main character's name was the same as yours?
When I played it on PSP, it was absolutely because the main character's name was the same as mine.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. But now it's because I like the Final Fantasy VII remake, and it's cool that we're going to get Zack's little prequel available to people. I think that's awesome news. And
I think it was smart of them to wait until they released a remake and let that saturate for a while. Because if they had done that before, it would have been super fresh in some people's minds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
I am,
and I mean it's such a great game, and I thought that they would never re-release it because this Japanese pop idol from back in the day, Gact, plays one of the characters in the Japanese version. Mm-hmm. So I thought that his license was going to hold that back, but based on the trailers, it looks like they just recast him.
Oh, okay. How does the gameplay play in that one? Because it doesn't look straight turn-based to me.
No, it is not. It's more active, but it has this like slot machine that's always going in the upper corner. I don't know if you saw that in the trailer.
I did see that. I didn't understand how it works.
And that basically it's it keeps going. It's like a slot machine, but it'll give you random perks. Like if it shows Sephiroth's face 3 times, he'll jump into your party and help you like fight the enemies real quick.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that. Or
like a little summon.
3 flames, it might give you like a quick Firaga or something like that.
Oh, okay.
It's just kind of like giving you, and I don't remember it giving you anything negative, so it's just like random added perks to the battle.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and there's some way to like, as you level up, I'm pretty sure you can, influence it in different ways and stuff. The slot machine. So yeah, I just remember it being a lot of fun. It's, I used to. It's been a number of years, so it's struggling to remember it perfectly.
Well, and this one is coming on all platforms. So I can play this one on Xbox, which is interesting.
Yeah, it feels like almost like a slap in the face to Xbox fans.
A little bit, because, I mean, you're going to get this story, and they don't know why this story is important now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think the original Final Fantasy VII is on Xbox, right? On Game Pass?
Right.
So
but there's no allusions to Crisis Core in the original game that I remember.
Other than the flashback. You get the flashback of Zack dying.
Do you? Oh, man, it's been a minute. I did not remember that.
On the cliffside as he protects Cloud, and then Cloud, tries to become Zack in his broken psyche or whatever. Spoilers, I guess.
I completely forgot about that scene.
It was great. Well, they redo it in the Crisis Core, and it is way the hell more tragic.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to playing that. When does that come out? Just this winter?
Yeah, this winter. And Zack dying is not a spoiler. Like, when they release the game is written with you, the player, knowing he will die in mind.
Oh, okay.
Like, they write for that. It's not supposed to be a surprise.
Like they Tarantino'd it, like that up front, and they go back and tell.
Yeah, I want to say they almost. This might be misremembering, but I swear they might open with his death scene.
Oh, okay. Or they pull like an American Beauty, where like, this is the day I die.
I bet you're wondering how I got myself in this mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we got?
That game's excellent. And you know what? This opens it up, Scott, for when Part 3, when Final Fantasy VII Resurrection, that you'll hate the name of, comes out. Maybe we'll get a Dirge of Cerberus port. And then you'll have the whole FF7 world. That was
also on portable, wasn't it?
It was a PS2 shooter starring Vincent.
I remember it starring Vincent. I didn't remember it being on PS2.
Yeah, it was PS2. It was terrible.
Oh, was it?
But I'm willing to play it again anyway.
He was a cool character that like you could completely not get in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I'm curious how they're gonna. I assume they will make him mandatory here in FF7 Rebirth. Him and Yuffie, because Yuffie was optional as well, right?
I don't remember if she was optional. I remember, like, I thought it was optional. No, you're right. It was optional to get her. I thought it was like you could kind of have a choice as to when she could join your party. Like you could just kind of avoid that area. But she was much easier to get than Vincent, if I remember correctly. Right, like you had to jump through some hoops.
Vincent, if my friend had not told me how, I don't know if I would have gotten him.
Right. And that was before, everything was on the internet super easily to find. So
not that I ever actually beat the original Final Fantasy VII anyway.
You didn't?
No, I have a real Final Fantasy. It's a real Final Fantasy VIII situation.
Wow.
I feel like I got like all the way.
So 7, 8, and 10. You got like really far in both and never finished them.
So weird. But 9 I beat like 6 times.
That's why you didn't finish this, because you were too busy playing 9.
Every time I got play 30 hours of 7, I'm like, I think I'd rather just play 9 again.
Yeah. Anyway, what else here? Intergrade is coming to Steam. I think we knew that. Or actually, it is on Steam now. And Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier. I have not played that one yet. I think you played it, talked about it on the show for a while, didn't you?
Yeah. It's the Battle Royale.
Yeah, it's getting a 3rd season.
Yeah, some kind of crossover content, I think, with Crisis Core, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Getting some kind of crossover content.
Ever Crisis, we already talked about. And then, obviously, the merchandising for Final Fantasy VII, which I did a double take, because there was some cool stuff on there. The Buster Sword clock, I thought was super rad.
It's like $200 or something?
$200!
Yeah.
For an alarm clock. Like I could...
they have an ice cube tray on the website for like $35, so this doesn't seem that surprising.
Is that the...
The Emil's head?
The Emil, yeah. I think I sent that to you at one point. I should have just bought it and just sent it to you.
So overpriced, the Square Enix store.
Yeah, but because people will pay it, man. It's like...
Yeah.
What I want to know is if they'll ever like sell the Cloud on the bike thing that came with the one version of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Remember that?
The Master Edition?
Right. I just want that. That thing is huge.
Yeah, it was like the size of your arm.
Yeah. Kevin has one. I actually acquired, because I remember I bought the Master Edition.
I remember, yeah.
And I sold it to him for face value, but that thing looks real pretty. Just the size of it and the detail is just incredible. Didn't we see that at E3, like when our first year there? Like it was out it was out under glass or whatever.
Yeah, I think I have pictures of it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I want to also talk about. I gotta mention it, Lollipop Chainsaw. So Yoshimi Yasuda, the CEO of Dragami Games, just randomly tweeted, and it was like translated from Japanese, that Lollipop Chainsaw is the thing. But it didn't really say any details. Like, does that mean we're getting a remake? Are we getting a sequel?
Super confusing.
And like, there was a weirdly like a number 3 on the picture on the tweet. I don't know if you noticed that.
Well, there was like 2 9 explosions. It was complete. It looked like a slot machine.
Right.
Yeah. It looked like I don't know. I do not know what to make of the thumbnail. I looked at it and I thought she was like crossing over into some kind of mobile game. That's what the image looked like to me.
If that's what it is, I'm going to be real upset.
That would be infuriating.
Because Lollipop Chainsaw, admittedly, didn't love the game. I love the concept of a cheerleader with a chainsaw with her boyfriend's severed head.
Yes.
Dangling from like her belt or whatever.
Voiced by Michael Rosenbaum.
I did not know that. Like, it was all kinds of ridiculous, but just unfortunately, the game just wasn't that fun to play. It was very repetitive and not very deep, but there's a lot to love in Lollipop Chainsaw. So either a remake or a sequel sounds very appealing to me, but we just don't know. And just to give you some background too, Yasuda used to work for how do you pronounce it? Kadokawa Games.
Yeah, I think so.
Who published the original game, which was developed by Grasshopper Manufacture. So they didn't make the game, but the guy that worked for the publisher is now the CEO of the developer that is behind whatever the Lollipop Chainsaw game is. That makes me a little nervous because it's not Grasshopper, you know what I mean? And they have a very specific tone to their games that I appreciated. Which is why I hope it's just a port or a remaster. Mm-hmm. I hope that's what it is too. I don't want a sequel by not Grasshopper. But if you re-release Lollipop Chainsaw and you market it right, you really lean into the fact that James Gunn co-wrote it. I didn't know that. Exactly. And you could really that would sell copies. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Dude, I felt guilty playing that game too. I got the achievement. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, of course. Who didn't? Can't play the game and not get that trophy. I mean, come on. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just if you play Lollipop Chainsaw and you can figure it out. You can figure it out. You'll figure it out. So I'm excited to see what that is. I'm glad you liked Lollipop Chainsaw, or at least the idea of it. It's a fun idea. It was a hilarious idea, and like the game intros very well. Like just because she has the potential to be the annoying cheerleader type, and she's not. She's kind of charming. Yeah, and then I like a lot. I wish I could have her for Christmas. Yeah, I got to talk about this Diablo Immortal thing too, because it cracks me up how everybody is just land blasting Diablo Immortal for being like the worst thing ever. It's got like doesn't it have the record now for having the lowest Metacritic score of any game or something like that. Is that right? I mean, I know it's horribly monetized, right? Like it's the most expensive game to max level. I think if something like 110,000 or something like that. If you want to buy your way to max level, which I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to do, but that's still not a good look at the top. And then, of course, I feel like it's made the rounds everywhere about the Twitch streamer who spent $10,000 and didn't get anything, didn't get any rare items. Yeah, because it's all randomized. Like you paid this money to have a chance to get something. He spent $10,000, which to me just feels like, aren't you kind of feeding the beast? Then aren't you kind of telling them that spending money is okay? I understand you're doing it for your stream and to get some views, but you spent $10,000. They're not going to be like, "Oh boy, this guy didn't get his drop rates." They're going to be like, "I can't believe suckers are paying $10,000." So, is this a situation where he's like having people donate money to his stream, and then or is he doing this out of his own pocket? I would assume it's out of his own pocket. I guess I assumed he was a major Twitch streamer and probably has millions of dollars that we'll never see. Oh, okay. That's my guess. I don't know who he is. I'm too old to keep up with the Twitch streamers. By the way, 43% of that revenue is from the U.S. The ones almost who are half complaining the loudest. But I don't know. It amazes me how we have a economy problem here all the time, but people can afford stuff like that. I don't know. I'm being judgmental. As things head towards recessions, entertainment spending goes up. That's just always true. It's kind of insane. Usually more wisely than some dumb Diablo phone game, but like remember when we had the stimulus checks which were more than enough to cover the cost of a PS5 or an Xbox Series X.
Everybody I know bought a PS5 or an Xbox Series X.
Yep.
With it. Everybody I know.
Mm-hmm. Kind of crazy.
But no, we need it desperately. But anyway, that's politics, and that's not necessary. Although it's nice that they gave us that, $700 the last 2 years. But the game's been downloaded over 5 million times.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
And to be fair, I didn't play it super long, but the bit I played was great, and I've heard that you can still get a good 20 or 30 hours out of the game without ever spending a cent. Like, I read a review that said that. Like, he complained about it being heavily monetized, but I still got 20 or 30 hours out of it. You didn't pay for it, man.
Yes. Well, and I think, to me, a lot of this, and I can't believe I'm defending Activision on anything, by the way. But
Me either.
It makes me think of what we were talking about a little bit when the mics were not on. We were talking about how Ms. Marvel has all this weird backlash. And I'm like, don't watch it. Don't play Diablo Immortal.
Right.
Don't buy the microtransactions.
Mm-hmm.
You're yelling about it is clearly not doing anything. They're making money hand over fist. If anything, you're probably just putting more eyes on. You're like, oh, I didn't know Diablo had a phone game. I should download that.
Right.
So just don't play it. Wait for Diablo 4.
Which, by the way, is not a bad idea because that game looks incredible. But I don't know. I saw somebody that made a stat about how much Diablo 3 sold on its first day, and tried to compare that to how much Diablo Immortal made in the first 24 hours or maybe it was 2 weeks, and it was like 10% of the amount that Diablo 3 did. And I'm just sitting there going, Diablo 3 is a $60 game, man. That doesn't seem like a fair comparison.
And it was also after a 12-year wait.
Exactly. That's a long time to go without a Diablo game, whereas people could still go play Diablo 3. That only came out, 6 years ago? Something like that?
Yeah, I don't remember. No, longer than that.
Was it longer than that?
Yeah, I want to say 8 years.
8 years, really? Time.
Maybe I'm crazy. But anyway, the point is, look, man, even you and I, we complain about microtransactions on here. And it's just, it is predatory in nature in a lot of games, but this Diablo is also marketed towards adults. So make some adult decisions out there.
That's a good point. Like, don't spend $10,000, but
right. This isn't. It is harder for me to feel bad about people playing Diablo than playing Minecraft or Fortnite because the target audience is much different.
True. And I don't know. Is it fair for me to say just don't buy it? Because I have that restraint and some people don't. Is that preying on the weakness of certain people?
You're right. Maybe, I'm probably being too flippant about that aspect of it, or people that can easily get addicted to gambling and stuff. But it's just, I think I'm exhausted of just having the same conversation about a different game every month.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly this is what the audience wants at a certain point, which sucks because I don't.
Well, I mean, 24 million. If it's been downloaded 5 million times, right? That means on average, trying to do the math in my head, and it's late. 5 million downloads, 24 million. Round it up to 25 million, right? Just for
so everybody spending $5.
Are we doing the math right?
Right. If 5 million people each spend $5, would that be $25 million?
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
So on average, everybody spent between $4.75 and $5.
So you spend $5, you got 30 hours of a game.
Right.
It's pretty good value.
I mean, that's an average. Obviously, some people,
right?
But anywho, that is the week's news. And
for the record, I do hate microtransactions. I'm not crazy about them.
No.
I just want to make that clear to the listeners.
Oh, gotcha.
It's just there is, I don't know. I feel like I got bigger worry. I have bigger concerns in the games industry than what Diablo Immortal's market performance is.
I know. I actually when I originally read this stat, I was excited. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Diablo is making $24 million because I was worried about the game not doing well because, number one, wasn't this when everybody wanted them to announce Diablo 4 and they announced this instead? Remember how angry everybody was?
Is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
Right. And then the whole microtransaction, people are saying this is the worst game ever, and I just feel like it's getting review bombed. Whenever people do that, I just want to cheer for the game and I want to see it do well. So to me, I looked at this as like a positive story. But I mean, 24 million in 2 weeks. I don't know what they were expecting. I don't know if that's good, if that's bad.
It feels like good numbers, but yeah, you're right. I don't know. I'm sure I'm sure Xbox is happy with this performance.
Yeah, probably.
Probably more than they make most stuff right now.
Very true. Well, moving on, want to remind everybody about our Patreon page. If you'd like to help us out over here at The Gaming Outsider, we really do appreciate it. We want to be able to give you some extra content as well. We try to do 2 episodes each month. And if you donate at the $3 per month level on our Patreon, you get 1 bonus episode. If you donate at the $5 tier, you get 2 bonus episodes. And right now, you can listen to an episode on Sonic 2, the movie. It is a spoiler cast, and it kind of turned into a legacy episode, too. That we had Kevin on for that one. And Kevin also came to talk to me about Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog. We did a little trade-off deal. I love this segment where I played a game that he told me to play, and he played a game I told him to play. We did Link to the Past and the original Sonic the Hedgehog. It was our first time playing each of those games, so that was a lot of fun. And coming up in the near future, Zach and I are going to be recording an episode on Max Payne 1 and 2, which I have played for the first time. That will be a Break the Seal episode. And then Kevin and I are going to do another trade-off episode where he's going to play Link's Awakening, and I'm going to play Sonic Generations, which is sitting right over there. I actually have a copy of it ready to go. And also, we're going to have an episode with Mr. Grant Henry, who's going to come do a Desert Islands game episode with Zach and I. That's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. So if any of those episodes sound interesting to you, or you want to check out some of the past content, head over to patreon.com/thegocast. Your donations help us keep the lights on here, help us get review copies that we turn around and give away to the community. And also, check out our website. We've got a giveaway in the works right now. I was going to do the drawing on Friday, but I wanted to let some other people get a chance to do it because we didn't get to too many people that wanted a free game, apparently. So I was giving some people a little bit of time to go back and try that again. So check out thegamingoutsider.com and look for our logo on our game giveaways. All right. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and jump into the new games that we've been playing. All right, Zach, anything new coming on the horizon?
Sure thing. Stranded on PS4 and PC no longer. Fall Guys finally comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and Switch June 21st. Along with that is its transition to being free to play.
Perfect.
Big news.
Perfect.
Shadowrun Trilogy makes its way to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and Switch June 21st.
Is that the multiplayer game?
No, but you're thinking of the Xbox 360 version.
Oh, is that what it was?
So it was a pen and paper role-playing game. There was a SNES game and Genesis game back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did the 360 multiplayer shooter, which I know Shadowrun fans hated because that is nothing like a role-playing game at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I loved because it was a lot of fun.
Mm.
But I am also very excited for Shadowrun Trilogy. Wreckfest comes to Switch June 21st. Broken Mind, which has an interesting graphic novel presentation, comes to PS4, Xbox One, and Switch June 21st. Deliver Us the Moon, which was already released on other stuff, gets its next-gen port coming to PS5 and Xbox Series consoles June 23rd. Naraka Blade Point, a battle royale with a focus on melee, finally comes to consoles with an Xbox Series X and S version June 23rd.
And it's coming to Game Pass.
Yes, it'll also be on Game Pass, absolutely, which is smart.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I don't have an Xbox Series X. Sonic Origins, which will have Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Sonic CD, and I think you can play as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles in all of them or something like that.
Correct. And it's the most confusing version layout of a game I've ever seen.
Yes, it is overly complicated for all games that all came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
But it's coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC June 23rd. The Capcom Fighting Collection makes its way to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC June 24th. AI The Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative comes to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC June 24th. And Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, which I feel like just got announced, but it's coming to Switch June 24th. Scott, is anything jumping out at you?
Not really. I mean, Origins, just because I just played Sonic, the original one, and it'd be fun to be able to play that on, play the other ones like Sonic 2 and 3 on an Xbox instead of on my Switch. That's where I was playing Sonic 2. I think it's the only one that's on Nintendo Switch Online, if I remember correctly.
Oh.
Maybe but I would really like to jump back into Fall Guys.
Yeah.
I know they keep updating the game, and I think Master Chief is in Fall Guys now.
Yeah, I remember 2B was not too long ago.
Yeah. But my thing with Fall Guys is I always wished, and I can't remember if it was like this at launch or it wasn't like this at launch. Like, I want to just team up with my friends. Like, because the game is stupid fun when you're playing with people. You know what I mean? Like, I want like a bigger lobby. I think you were limited to like 4 people or something like that. And I just want to really just go all ham with like a 8-person lobby. Could you imagine the community game nights we could do with that? That would just be so much fun.
That would be fun.
And
I liked Fall Guys quite a bit when it came out.
We did that. We did a community game night with Fall Guys, didn't we?
Oh yeah, you're totally right.
That was fun. We should do that again. Oh, by the way, the Capcom Fighting Collection reminded me. I don't know if you know this, but you know that arcade collection that's on like Switch and Xbox and PlayStation right now, where they gave away 1942. It was like it was one of those like where you actually go in and look at the arcade cabinet. You know what I mean? And then you play the game, you put a quarter in, but they didn't give you. You actually could buy the games piecemeal, so it almost acted like a client. And they gave you
Xbox Game Room.
No, not that old. This is more recently.
Oh, okay.
It was like an arcade collection, and anyway, they gave away 1942 when they launched it as a way like, here, have this free game, see how it works, and then hopefully buy more. Well, and up until the end of the month, they actually have Street Fighter 2 available for free.
Whoa!
Just go download it.
What's the name of the game?
I'm gonna have to go look it up. It's like Arcade Stadium, I think. Arcade Stadium, maybe. Don't quote me on that, but right. just find it. Or just Google Street Fighter 2 free Xbox or Switch or whatever. I'm sure you find it.
It's just funny you're trying to tell people about this free game, but you don't know where they can get it.
Well, I'll look it up if you want me to look it up.
It's not that big a concern. Yeah, Sonic Origins holds some appeal to me, but I feel like I don't have to rush out and get it because I have played Sonic 1, 2, and 3 to death. You know, Sonic CD less so, but it's just there's not a hot rush. I actually do really want to play the Shadowrun trilogy. They look like very classic CRPG style games with a heavy focus on narrative and some interesting looking turn-based combat. And I don't know. I think I might pick those up. I don't. I'm undecided.
I've never played them, so I'd be definitely interested.
They look cool. Also, the AI the Somnium Files sequel looks rad, but I still haven't got around to playing the first one. It's just, I don't know, man. Games are just long.
They are.
We say that every week, and it's probably a broken record. But I've been really like having an existential crisis about it lately, and it's just like I was thinking when I was a kid, you would get there'd be like that one release every month. You know what I mean? And now there's 7 every week.
Right.
So it feels harder to get into things, but that's my problem, not the games industry's.
I hear you.
But you, speaking of things you've actually played, and I assume inspired this week's topic,
it did.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge for the Xbox.
Yes, sir.
Scott, did you play 6-player co-op?
I did play 6-player co-op.
You did? That's awesome.
All online, by the way. I got a hold of, let's see, who were we playing with? We're playing with Joel and CJ, my normal Friday people.
Okay.
Christina was out of town with her son, so she wasn't able to be here. But I called up, I had... Let's see, Sean. I don't think you know Sean. Sean McGuire came, and Kevin was there. And I'm going to feel like a terrible person because I can't remember who the other one was now. I should have written this down. It was Friday, so it was a while ago. Oh my goodness, but it was so much fun. We had 6 people in a room.
Did you play Leonardo?
I did play. I called playing Leonardo. Yes. By the way, if you do ever play as April. She is badass.
Oh, yeah?
Totally badass. Really great.
It's hard not to want to play as Leo.
See, I thought the same thing, dude. But like everybody on Twitter is either a Raphael or Michelangelo guy.
Yeah, I think those are definitely the most popular ones.
And I don't understand what, because he had an attitude or something. Like what was
I don't understand I mean, when I was a kid, I liked Mikey because he was a wild one. But yeah. Now he's just. He's a whack jet.
Nate was the other one. I forgot our own producer.
Oh, wow. I'm sure he'll love listening to this.
Oh, I know. Great. But yeah, we played 6 people, and I was curious about how difficult that was going to be. Had a little bit of struggle with this. Actually, creating a room with your friends. They don't. If you want to create a room with your friends, they pull up your friends list, but they don't sort it by which ones are online. So to find your friends, you have to sort through your entire list, and you can't even do the thing where like you can hold the button down and scroll quickly. You have to go tap 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 tap.
Oh man!
To find all 5 of your friends' names, and
remember how annoying it was though? Like back when games did let you just invite your whole friends list with the touch of a button.
Oh yeah, that was annoying.
Yeah. Or
they used to do like a beacon thing. Remember that? Like you could say like, "I want to play this game. Who wants to play with me?"
Oh yeah! Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a better. You get a message, but you could just ignore it if you wanted to. But anyway, the developers behind Shredder's Revenge clearly did their homework and did the assignment correctly, because this feels like such a natural progression or a successor to the Turtles arcade game that I grew up with and loved. It was before you joined the show, but we reviewed a Ninja Turtles game that I remember it was like episode 100 something, and it was awful. Like we were so excited about a new Ninja Turtles game, and it was just absolutely miserable to play.
Was it Mutants in Manhattan?
Mutants in Manhattan, yes.
Yeah, the Platinum Games one.
It was awful, man. Did you play it?
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
No, I mean it wasn't broken or anything like that. It worked, but it just didn't have the same flavor or whatever. It didn't have the same tone that the original game. This one totally does. It's pixelated. It's a beat 'em up where you team up with 5 other people. You can have any of the 4 turtles, April O'Neil, or Splinter, and then once you beat the game, you can unlock Casey Jones, which is kind of rad. There's 16 stages. And they do a really cool thing where it's an overworld map, kind of like almost like the Ninja Turtles game that was on Nintendo. Do you remember that one where like you actually walked around on foot before you went into the sewers, and then you drove I don't know what the vehicle was called, the bus that they have.
It's kind of like aren't you Turtles Die Hard?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I don't know. What was it called?
I have no idea.
Oh, you don't know either. Yeah. Well, Nate's yelling at his. Listen to this now, but. So there's 16 stages, and it does it like a Mario map where like you just go from level 1 to level 2, level 3. But then they do this fun thing where you find collectibles in each level. Like one of them, and they're all really super silly, very 90s. Like I don't know, there's these four frog characters that want you to find these disgusting bugs. And so you'll be playing the game before you even meet these characters, and you find a disgusting bug. You're like, what am I doing with a disgusting bug? And then you meet those characters, and they say, find our 8 disgusting bugs or whatever. It's all super silly stuff like that doesn't really matter, but it's something extra to do and give you a replayability. It's kind of fun.
Okay.
It also has like these challenges. Like there's a challenge to make it through a level without getting hit. I don't know how in the world you could play a beat 'em up and never take a hit. I just can't even fathom.
Obviously,
apparently, the turtles themselves, the controls are very arcadey, and like you've got a jump and you've got an attack, and you've got but this time around you've got a special attack. And the way the special attack works is you've got a certain number of slots that like you start out with just 1, and you use your special attack, and then you're done. But they let you kind of recover one by if you just go off in the corner and meditate or something. At least that's what my character did. I was Leonardo. Leonardo like kind of gets his center, and
that makes sense.
And then he gets his key back or whatever. And then now you have an extra attack, and that was really cool. But there's something like 16 different moves for each turtle, like not just an attack, but like if you count like a regular attack and then a jump and attack, and so the special attack is fun, and I just like that it's just not like unlimited, but it's also not finite. You know what I mean? So you still have to kind of work for it. I thought that was really cool. It's just you can do the thing where you can throw the enemies at the screen like in Turtles in Time. Nice. That's fun. The pizza, there's different kinds of pizza. One pizza will just replenish your health, and one pizza will replenish everybody's health. I don't know, man. Just it was so much fun to play. And since the game isn't trying to eat your quarters like the arcade game was, it's relatively easy. Like I didn't actually really die until like level 10 or 11 or something like that.
I was gonna ask, so you talked about you unlocked Casey Jones when you beat it, so did you beat the game already?
Yeah, we beat it in one sitting, man. It's only a couple hours.
Classic arcade goodness.
Yeah, like each level was like, I don't know, 5-6 minutes or maybe 7-8 minutes. And it was great. It's just so much fun. Oh, there's a revive mechanic now. So if you lose all your health, you can go over. It's hilarious because in order to revive somebody, you kind of kneel down next to the character and offer them pizza.
Yeah, it makes sense. Right.
And like you just kind of like, here, eat this pizza. It's hilarious. I think when you give, because somebody was playing as Casey Jones. I didn't have it unlocked, but someone had already beat the game. And like Casey Jones actually like dangles a piece of pizza in front of his face, like, here, want some pizza? And then if you revive them, then they come back with just like a third of their health or something like that. Thought that was really cool. You also can high five each other to transfer some of your energy to the other person. So like if you have really high health and the other person has low health, you can high five them and give them a little bit of your health and bring them back up.
Sounds like there's a lot of charming flourishes.
There really is, man. And it's just stupid fun to play. Like there's an achievement tied to each individual character, like to beat the game with that character. So I have incentive to go back and play as either characters. Number one, like the original Ninja Turtles arcade game, sure, you had a different weapon, but it didn't really feel like you were playing a different character. You know what I mean? You just had a shorter range or a longer range. In this one, each character has a completely different move set. Like their special move is different. They say different quippy lines. You know what I mean? So it's really good.
They've taken advantage of more modern game design sensibilities.
Oh, absolutely. And then, like, even when you beat a level, they each have like a little animation, like a little what do you like flourish? You know what I mean? And April's is she takes her microphone and she kind of like kisses two fingers and then takes the mic and just drops it. Like
nice.
It's
cool,
just it's awesome. I just love it. It's so much fun to play, dude. And doing 6 people is chaos. I mean, imagine 6 players and then the enemies all on the screen at one time. You really lose track of your character, especially if you're one of the turtles, because the turtles look so similar, just have a different bandana, right? So You actually have an advantage playing as Splinter or April because they're easier to stand out. But we learned that the game actually has a built-in feature. If you press the left trigger on your controller, it'll just put the little 1P thing over your head so you can identify right where your character is, which is brilliant. Yeah. It's just like quality of life stuff, and it's really fun. I love it.
It sounds like they did it right.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like everybody's playing it.
Yeah, I mean, especially Xbox, it's on Game Pass. Right. So it's one of those games that's weird for us to review because my review is basically, should you try this free game out or not? I mean, it's not free, but you know what I mean? It almost feels like an irrelevant review. Like, we'll talk about it. Everybody should play it, but I would have easily paid the $25 for this game. The fact that it's on Game Pass is just awesome. I'm really shocked that this came to Game Pass because I feel like everybody would have paid for it.
Yeah, I'm also surprised that the developer or the publisher decided to take that, that Game Pass briefcase of cash, because it does feel like everybody was ready to pay for this game.
I agree. Although, how many people played it because it's on Game Pass?
No doubt. It's just, and again, it could just be what I'm seeing online or whatever, but it really does feel like everybody's into this game.
Yeah. You should give it a shot, man. It's pretty good. It definitely scratches that nostalgia itch in a good way. Because if you go back and play the original after playing this, you'd be like, wait, that's how that game played? It looks and feels a lot older. Whereas this one still looks pixelated, but has a lot of good stuff going on there visually. We did have one issue, and this happened multiple times. And I don't know if this was a game issue or if this was a latency issue on one of our ends, but we would load into a level, and one or two of us wouldn't be able to be playing. Like they would see the characters but no enemies, and they wouldn't be able to move their character at all. And they would just see my characters running around getting hit or not getting hit. And then on our screen, they would just look like they were standing still. So truly do not know if that was a game issue or if that was a latency issue. and it was real simple of like just restart the level really quick. Restart the level and then it goes away, which is minor inconvenience, right? But the one time it happened on like the second stage of a boss, like it just all of a sudden clicked on, and so we had to reset and then actually play through the entire level again, which is, I mean, the game's fun, so it's not like it's torture.
I wonder if it's just that the servers are being stressed to hell.
Could be. It could have been. I was hosting too, so I wonder if I was having internet issues. I don't know.
I say, like, for an indie studio, and then this game gets on Game Pass at a time where there's not a lot of stuff out, I'm sure. I think they're probably getting hit harder than they would have thought.
Maybe. That's a good point. So
anyway, easy recommendation, clearly.
Yeah. I go play it, man. Come play with me. I think we're on Tuesday. I mean, it'll be past by the time this episode records, it'll be past Tuesday. But one of our listeners, Brian Regals, is actually coming into Rockford. We're going to game all day together. And Ninja Turtles is definitely going to be happening. So be jealous, man.
Sure.
You come out, come hang.
I think I'll live.
So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Out there just to play a beat 'em up.
Shredder's Revenge is a ton of fun. Highly, highly recommend it.
Well, let's see if the next thing you've been playing gets a stronger condition as well. You've been playing Switch Sports.
Yes, I actually on the Switch, ironically, or coincidentally. Yeah, Switch Sports. I picked up because they had a buy 2 get 1 free sale on Amazon for select games.
Yeah,
and I took advantage of it.
I think it's still going on. Well, at least
it is, but it's limited quantities, and they kept changing stock or which games were available. So I actually contacted Kevin and Christina and said, "Hey guys, I want this game. Are there anything off this list you guys want that we could, all pitch in and then each pay our own share or whatever?" And they actually each found a game that they wanted, so we did it. So I got, a $40 game or $50 game for, a third off or whatever. So, but I got lucky. I don't know. How good I put it in my cart right away, and then I was waiting for a response from Kevin and Christina, and I didn't get one from both of them right away. So it was like hours later, I went back to the list to select it, and it was Switch Sports wasn't available anymore.
Damn.
And I was like, that sucks. And then but I looked at my cart; it was still in my cart, and they still honored it because it was in my cart. So that was kind of cool.
So bullet dodged.
Yes, but I wanted to pick this up for 2 main reasons. One, this seems like a great game to have at school with my students, even though it won't be a new game by that point. I'm getting tired of watching them play Smash, and it's just so easy to pick up, and they can play 4 at a time easily. You know what I mean? So I want to do that. Plus, my wife used to love playing Wii bowling on Wii Sports. So this one has bowling on it, so I was like, this is gonna be great. We can actually something we can do together that we can enjoy.
Has she played it?
She has. She actually has played it quite a bit with me. We played mostly bowling because that's the one that we're most familiar with. It's interesting because there's no sensor bar anymore, which is awesome.
Yes,
you don't have to worry about that because I hated setting that thing up because that tiny little cord, I was so worried it was gonna get cut. You know what I mean? But using the Joy-Cons is different because obviously there's no sensor bar, so it's not sensing your movement like at an angle. You know what I mean? It's basically because the way the Switch works is it's got those marbles inside or whatever that whenever you move something, it doesn't actually have marbles, but it's the thing that feels like marbles are rolling around. It was one of the 1-2 Switch games where it felt like
I remember.
Yeah. So it's all internal. It's not really it's not actually sensing the movement of the controller. But it still works really, really well. Like my first game of bowling, I bowled a 198, which I was shocked I was able to bowl that high after not having played it in forever. But they do a really cool thing with the bowling where, remember in the old one, you had to switch turns? I take a turn, she takes a turn, I take a turn, she takes a turn. So they actually let you play simultaneously now. So they put a split screen down the middle, and I play my game on my side, and then she plays her game on her side, and then whenever we're both done, you compare the scores. Small thing, but it's a nice little touch. Because it's one of the, if you're playing with 4 people, and you got to wait for 3 other people to go, that's a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially,
but I feel like, is that not, that's kind of part of the fun of replicating the bowling experience.
No, I agree. I agree with you. However, if I'm playing with fourth graders, they're just not going to play. You know what I mean? They're just gonna go on. And then it's got the special mode where they do the, like bowling alleys that have like one narrow strip that you have to get it across and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool. Also, you can play this online. So you can, and what's interesting is in the game, it actually does the, like it defaults to playing online before it defaults playing locally.
How unusual for Nintendo.
Yeah, I really did think that was weird. Have not played online. Huh?
You just had to specify that you could play online at all, which is an insane thing to think about in 2022.
It is.
But it's a Nintendo, so we have to be like, hey, you can play it online. Who knew?
Right. You can play with randoms. You can play with friends. And that's pretty great. But again, I have not tried it yet to know how it works. And I have the Nintendo Switch Online membership. So anyway, we also played the volleyball.
You bullied me into it.
Yeah. We played the volleyball because everybody on our Discord server was saying the volleyball was really fun. And they're right. Volleyball is super great. Do
you take your shirt off first?
Do I? I put on my aviators and I got my dog tags in it.
Yeah.
No, but there's like 3 distinct motions that you have to do in this game. You have to bump, and you actually hold the controller in your hand, and like but it's all a timing thing. Like you can actually raise it up too early or too soon. And then there's a set like this, and then there's a block. And this is making for great radio. But each one comes
for listeners. He's doing them. He's pantomiming the motions for some reason.
It works really great, and I feel like this is a game where once you got good at it, you would have super extensive volleyball matches because at some point you're going to get it down and you're just going to do every motion correctly, every motion perfectly. You know what I mean? So I haven't figured out what that strategy is yet to actually overcome my player, but I'll report back. The other games we have is what's that?
Can you spike the ball?
Yes. Oh, there is but it's not like what you think, where you would actually like spike it. Again, I'm doing the motion where you like come behind you and hit it.
Yeah.
It's just basically up and down. So you actually, in order to jump, you have to raise it up, and then you have to actually bring it down to actually smash the ball or spike the ball down.
It feels slightly less satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, you probably could do it, but I'm so anal when it comes to like doing the controls the way the game wants me to. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I get you.
But yeah, straight up timing. Those are the only 2 we've tried because I don't want to play by myself, and it's really hard to get my wife to sit down and play. Like the first time we played it, she played 1 game of bowling, and then like, all right, I'm done. So we didn't get to try anything else. I finally got her to try volleyball with me, but there's also badminton and tennis, which I'm curious, like how different are those going to be?
Yeah. How different can they be?
I don't know. I'm eager to try. There's another sport that has a name I'm not familiar with, but the icon looks like it's sword fighting. Remember the sword fighting in I think it was Wii Sports Resort?
Fencing, right? Or
well, there was fencing.
You're right. Kendo, sword fighting.
Yeah. Oh, they do let you also create your own character. So instead of those little me characters, they actually
I remember them.
But you can actually switch back to play as the me characters if you want to. You have the option.
You can play as those horrifying nightmare creatures.
Right. By the way, I've seen some funny TikToks where people like recreate Wii bowling, like somebody going up and like dropping the ball backwards, and then when the camera pans back and all the players like just spin around and stuff. Like that's pretty fun. I've fallen down the TikTok rabbit hole a lot lately.
Well, you're a teacher, so you're just surrounded by these kids who are probably on TikTok all the time.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah.
So yes, early impressions of Switch Sports. It's Wii Sports, just with a much higher polish. So I'm not being dismissive when I say it's Switch. It's Wii Sports. It works how you remember Wii Sports working. Very easy to pick up. Very easy to hand a controller to grandma or anybody. If they know how to bowl, they know how to do this game. They even let you, so for instance, with the Wiimotes, it didn't matter what hand you put it in, right? The Wiimote was both right-handed and left-handed, but if you have the detachable Joy-Cons, you have rights and lefts.
Yeah, they face in directions. Yeah,
correct. I actually own an extra set of Joy-Cons. I know not everybody does, So it's really nice for if you're going to want to play 4 players, you're going to have 4, right? But what's really cool is the game lets you use 2 right controllers when I'm playing bowling. So like I can hand one to my wife that actually is a right-handed one, so it feels natural when she's playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's going to be an issue if you have, if 4 right-handed people.
And you have a bunch of controllers laying around, you can have a good time.
Yeah. I wonder if you could actually use No, that wouldn't work. I was going to say, what if you could use the Wii remote, but that needed the sensor bar. So obviously that would not.
Oh, yeah.
That wouldn't work. So
maybe you can use a PlayStation Move controller.
Yeah, I'm sure that would work just fine. So yeah, Switch Sports, I am totally digging it. And I'll report back when I play some more of the other sports. All right. I would like to remind everybody about our social media outlets. First off, facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. If you would like to stay on top of current event news in the video games industry or be part of the conversation with other members, funny memes and whatnot, head over to our group, join the group, and we would love to hear from you, and I'll give you a shout on the show when you do. Also, our Discord server is live and thriving. There is a link for the show in the notes for this very episode. We'd love it if you came over and joined. I spend a lot of time over there conversing with people, and it's pretty great. Also, we give away $20 every quarter of either Xbox, PlayStation, or Switch money for the top 10 posters. We do a drawing with the 10 of them. So incentive to go in there and start some conversation. Also, if you get a chance, drop us a review over on Apple Podcasts or Google Play Music or Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you listen to the show. It helps us get the word out. We really do appreciate it. And lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. There you can find all of our episodes, as well as all of our written content, including new reviews dropping this week for, first off, Arcade Spirits, the new challengers, written by Alyssa. And then I have been doing some writing. I've been doing a lot of catch-up writing. So my reviews of K.O. the Kangaroo and Mini Motorways are both on the site. And I am in the process of doing the review for Shredder's Revenge as well. So stay tuned for that. Let's go ahead now and jump into our topic for the week. Obviously, this week was a pretty big release for us 90s kids. Shredder's Revenge scratched an itch many of us have had for a long time. So it seemed like a good time to discuss the genre known as beat-em-ups. Games where you move your character through levels from left to right, punching or attacking with some kind of weapon until you reach a boss and then do it all over again on the next level. Now, this genre has been around for a long time. The earliest one I remember was on the NES. I think the game was called Renegade. I think it came out before Double Dragon, but it could be wrong. But are you yourself a fan of beat-em-up, Zach?
How do I... Nope. No, I really don't like them almost at all.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Now, when I was a youth, I remember liking them. Whether it was Maximum Carnage, Spider-Man Maximum Carnage, I played a lot.
That's on my list, yeah.
Or the Simpsons arcade game, I would play at Chuck E. Cheese quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think was Konami, right? And they did
Konami?
I could have swore it was.
I'm not challenging you. I just didn't realize.
And obviously, yeah, and played the TMNT one. Obviously quite a bit probably at Chuck E. Cheese as well. So it's not like I'm unfamiliar with them. It's just every time I let myself get one because, so often the aesthetics or the settings or just the style of a beat 'em up is so cool. Like River City Girls looks so cool, but I just know I'm not gonna have a good time. And then the one that should have probably gotten me was Scott Pilgrim versus the World because I love that movie to death and the graphic novels and everything. But I just can't do it, man. I get bored even when I'm with my friends. I get bored 30 minutes into a beat 'em up, and I don't know why. I think it's the mechanics are, and I don't think this can really be disputed. The mechanics are incredibly simple for beat 'em up, right? You're walking left to right. Sometimes you're jumping, and then you just have the one attack button.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also not really, even in modern ones, you're not really getting a story out of it. So it doesn't really feel like I'm getting much reward, for what I play games for. And and of course there are games I play where I don't need the story or whatever, but there's just, I think it's a little bit like my problem with Left 4 Dead, where I just don't feel any tension at all during a beat 'em up.
That's interesting.
Okay. There's no, I'm not feeling challenged. I'm just pressing punch until the guy dies. or whatever, and the enemy variety is usually pretty weak. But I will forever cherish my memories of the ones that I did like. It's just, like Shredder's Revenge, even though it's sort of free on Game Pass. I'm just like I don't even know if it's really honestly worth the time for me to play it, because my mind is probably already made up because it's a beat 'em up.
That's interesting. Now, is it because you've obviously tried a lot of them? Was part of the reason that you tried them like because it was a property that you liked a lot outside of that game? Like Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, came out when the TV show was in its second season or something, which was like perfect timing because everyone was like starting to get entrenched into that cartoon.
The height of Turtles fever.
Yeah. So were you a Simpsons fan and wanted to play it because it was Simpsons, or was it like everybody else is playing it? It's a multiplayer game. I want to do this with my friends.
Yeah, I think the Simpsons one was, because I like the Simpsons, and it was a fun thing to play with my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But like Scott Pilgrim, I excitedly purchased it because I love the movie so much.
Right.
And it was cool that the sprites looked like the comic book artwork, and then they re-released it. I bought it just because it said Scott Pilgrim, and.
Well, plus the story is just a perfect setup for a video game. You know what I mean?
It's true, and I feel weird because I do like character action games, like Devil May Cry or whatever, which are really just sort of modern beat 'em ups. But I don't know, there's something some kind of difference. Maybe it's because I like 2D games less, but
maybe because they have lines like, "Who's bringing the marshmallows? Because I'm bringing the fire."
Yeah. The ridiculous stories do go a long way. Which you're not usually getting with a classic arcade style beat 'em up.
Right, that's true. Yeah, even Shredder's Revenge, it's a super silly story. You remember? Do you know the characters of Ninja Turtles, like the enemies and stuff? Like I don't remember.
Bebop, Rocksteady, Krang.
Yeah. So the story in Shredder's Revenge is pretty funny because it's like they're trying to rebuild Krang. So like you're just seeing like the head and then the torso and then the legs. Like you're basically chasing the guys that are trying to get these different pieces of Krang to piece them back together for the inevitable, showdown against him. And it's just kind of funny. But again, it's not like, deep narrative. It's just,
right.
I
just feel like my brain's not being stimulated by this genre very much.
Interesting. Because I feel like, especially when you're playing with 6 people, it's just very frenetic and there's a lot going on. I feel like I'm doing more than just mashing the button. You know what I mean? I'm like looking for, my moment to get out, because you don't want to like get too greedy and hit too much. You know what I mean? You want to hit and then roll out of it. But I didn't tell you that there's a roll button, like where you can roll away. So it becomes a strategy to get your attacks in, get out, and then get back into the fight, kind of thing. Yeah, for me, I feel like beat 'em ups. We're like that arcade experience of like, I never liked playing a beat 'em up by myself. You know what I mean? Like it just, it'd be like playing a Borderlands game by yourself, or I don't know. It was about playing with your buddy, because co-op games were somewhat limited in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like 80s and 90s, there were some, but
right. Yeah, I guess games where you're on the same side, were pretty rare.
Mm-hmm. So I think that was the big appeal for beat 'em up games at the time, is where we could play together and go towards a common goal instead of, squaring off against each other. I think that was a big plus too. But for me, it was a lot of the license stuff too. Seeing the characters that I knew and loved, and I don't know, like punching barrels and finding a turkey in it that you can then consume to replenish your health. Like that stuff was super silly, just the most video game thing ever. But I just found it I found it charming.
Yeah, there's certainly some charm in them. It's just, I guess I appreciate beat 'em ups even if I don't like them, if that makes sense.
Okay. I'm glad I didn't bother you with inviting you to come play Shredder's Revenge with us. Then I had no idea.
Oh, I see, but I would have showed up. It's sort of free and everything.
No, okay.
I would have showed up. All right, I wouldn't have brushed you off.
Well, the truth is, the reason I didn't is I just assumed you were working. It was
I'm sure I was
8:30 on a Friday.
Right. When you guys are having fun, I'm in the mines.
Well, one of these weekends we'll make something happen. So yeah, I like them, but I find that I get bored with them a little bit more quickly. Like when Streets of Rage 4 came out, I think that one came to Game Pass. I don't even think I finished it, just because I don't have any attachment to the Streets of Rage series like I do the Turtles. So like when Shredder's Revenge and the fact that the game is like 2 hours, you know what I mean? It was just great. And there's just something about the Ninja Turtles that clicks so well. I think I know it's got to be nostalgia because I grew up with it and I grew up watching the cartoons and
right. I feel like you would have been the right age for when Turtles took over the world.
Oh yeah, what was it? 88 was when the series started, so I would have been 8 years old, and I think the game came out in 90.
So you were perfect for the Turtles.
Yeah, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. It was great. I specifically remember sitting at home. We were living in Rockford, and my parents were going out, for dinner or whatever, and that show came on the TV. I think for some reason it was playing at night, which doesn't make any sense now. Must have been a rerun or something. But it was the first time I'd ever heard of Ninja Turtles. And my dad saw that and he's like, honey, why don't we, instead of going out to dinner, why don't we stay home and watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Like he was saying it to be funny. And I was going, that sounds awesome. Like,
that's amazing, Dad. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Finally, you understand me.
Right. And then even the first game I played wasn't even, it was one of those like Tiger Electronic games.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Those were the coolest thing when I was a kid. There was one, because like the attack button actually said slice and dice or something. I thought that was pretty cool.
Rip and tear.
So, but yeah, I still like beat 'em ups. I just, I've got to be really behind the property or really, it's got to scratch a nostalgia itch for me to do it. I feel like I don't play them too much anymore. But when it's something like this, I just had to play it. So I'm nervous to ask now. Do you have any favorite titles in the genre? I mean, you don't like the genre, so it's kind of a silly question.
So yeah, not really. And I guess it's a very different perspective.
Yeah.
Than maybe you're expecting, but I really don't think of any very fondly. At least certainly not 2D ones. I feel like it's a genre that I only think of in 2D.
I do too, but when I was doing some research trying to remember some of these titles, there are people that make lists of like their favorite beat 'em ups, and they put games like God of War on there. And at first I was like, God of War isn't a beat 'em up, but then I thought about it, I was like, it kind of is.
So if you count those, then there's a bunch that I love, but those are also like single player narrative kind of games, and they're usually, not to poo-poo these games that you no doubt love, but like they're usually quite a bit more mechanically dense.
No, I agree with you. I get what you're saying totally. Would you consider God of War a beat 'em up?
I guess I think of it as a character action game, which is like a nonsense YouTuber term, I feel like, for whatever genre Devil May Cry, God of War, and Bayonetta belong to.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I like those. Yeah, I could see where somebody would call it a beat 'em up, but I don't think of them as beat 'em ups.
I don't either. I never had. Like, I think there are certain elements of a beat 'em up that make it a beat 'em up. Like being being 2-dimensional, but still having the ability to move up and down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
That is in there. The multiplayer part is important with a beat 'em up.
Yeah, I would say co-op is almost mandatory for a real beat 'em up,
which would negate God of War, right?
Definitely, yeah.
I'm trying to think what else would it would take to qualify as a beat 'em up.
Flashing arrow at the end of at the edge of the screen.
Oh yeah, like bing, bing,
yeah.
bing, like a thumbs up pointing, like go. Yeah. I don't know,
Turkey
like going like
food that you eat off the floor to restore health.
Right. Yeah.
I think you even did that in Maximum Carnage, if I remember right.
I don't remember. I just remember Maximum Carnage being so hard.
Yeah.
That game was not easy. It's also the first time I'd ever seen Carnage or Venom. Like I wasn't like didn't know much about Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not totally outrageous.
I mean, when that game came out.
Yeah, it's kind of a unique game in that it was based on a storyline directly from the comics, Maximum Carnage, and it came out at like the same time area.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's cool. I did not know unusual. That. I also loved. I played it on Super Nintendo. I had the red cartridge.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I had that too.
Like they very rarely did those. I know Killer Instinct had a black cartridge.
But nothing's as cool as a freaking blood red one from Maximum Carnage.
That was pretty cool. It had a great cover, too.
Yeah.
The cover art was awesome. But man, was that game...
The comic is terrible.
Is it really?
It's really bad, yeah.
Wow. That's a bummer.
That's okay.
So, I still haven't seen the second Venom movie. Was it Let There Be Carnage or something like that?
Yeah, yes, it is.
I have not seen that yet. Do they do this story good?
I think Venom Let There Be Carnage is a lot of fun.
Okay. I need to check that one out.
It's also like, it's 90 minutes, man. It just moves.
Oh, really?
It's good. Yeah.
Should do that more. Get tired of like the 2.5, 3 hour movies.
Couldn't agree with you more. But yeah, dude, Venom. I highly recommend Venom 2. Did you like the first one?
I did. I mean, I didn't love it, but I had a good time with it. It was one of those like, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
But I never felt compelled to like go see it again, you know?
That's exactly how I would say Venom 2 is. It's fun. Yeah, it's okay for a movie to just be fun.
Gotcha. As for me, I wanted to start by, the Ninja Turtle arcade game is clearly, like that one feels like the pinnacle to me, you know, like that and Simpsons.
Like the one by which all other beat-em-ups are judged.
Right. Although I will say this new one feels like it surpassed it in quality. I mean, I know that's easy to say because, technology is what it is today. And some people might consider that blasphemous to say it. I seriously think this game is so much better than the original game. It's really good.
You know what I liked about the Simpsons one, though?
What's
Here's
that?
something I liked. You get to tax people with vacuum cleaners.
Oh, that was Marge's attack, right?
Yeah. And I had a lot of fun with that. Anyway, that's all I had. And Bart used a skateboard. It was fun.
Yep. All right. I have a Twitter comment I wanted to share with you, and I don't know how to pronounce this, but Oleg Nasip-Sipa, I'll say, at Oleg Nasip-Sipa, says Final Fight, Streets of Rage 2, and Battletoads. Final Fight is one that I played. That was one where you play as the mayor. Was his name Hagar or something like that?
Hagar, yeah, absolutely.
And he's like this super buff, wears suspenders, like he's like this ripped dude that's like a politician. That concept cracked me up. And I think one of the other characters was a guy dressed in red named Guy.
Yes, yeah.
He was my favorite character. I just thought he was awesome because he could like flip off of the walls, which I thought was super cool.
Did you ever play Final Fight Streetwise on PS2?
I did not.
That's a 3D one.
Was it any good?
No.
Oh.
No. There was a mini game though where you had to like earn money by being an exterminator, but by doing it you would just squash cockroaches, but you had to like use the kick attack on the cockroaches, and it was very bad.
Ugh. Well, that sounds like a miserable experience.
Just wanted to throw that out there. Look it up, man. It's pretty well known as a terrible game.
Okay. Also, Battletoads. I didn't play Streets of Rage much. That was a Genesis game, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm not knocking the Genesis, Kevin. I just didn't have one as a kid, so I don't have the nostalgia for it. But Battletoads. Definitely played me some Battletoads. Man. The original Battletoads, one of the most difficult games I played. But the one that I really liked the most in Battletoads, it was Battletoads and Battle Maniacs. That was the one where like they really made like, when your leg turns into an axe or a giant, your fist is like a giant fist. It just looked so cool when I was a kid.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
But there was a Battletoads and Double Dragon like in one game. It was like the brothers teamed up with the Battletoads to face off.
That sounds cool.
It was so much fun. I really liked that one. It was hard. It was very hard. But I had a lot of good times. So Battletoads is a good one.
Video games could use some more dumb comic book style crossovers like that.
I agree.
What
was the one you were talking about? That you guys came with a pitch of like bringing like Spyro and
because now that Xbox owns Banjo, Spyro, Crash, and all those, you could the Xbox platforming All Stars game or whatever.
Oh, so you're just talking like
platformer All Stars.
So an All Star game, not necessarily like them crossing into each other's universes.
I would want them to team up for a 3D platformer.
Okay, it would be amazing.
That would be essential. That would be so cool, and they could do it. And yeah, you could go to each of the worlds and then team up against Cortex and whoever, Gruntilda.
It would sell like crazy because you're gonna get a fan of any of those series that are gonna buy it.
I mean, it writes itself.
Yep.
There's no reason not to do that game.
Yeah.
And you can have a little cameo by the grab by the ghoulies. Boom, boom, boom.
I had another comment I wanted to read from Mark Zemansky. He said, favorite memory, Double Dragon on the NES with a friend. Favorite solo game, Comics Zone on Sega.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I liked that game when I was a kid.
Did you?
Because you could hop the panels and stuff.
Right. I actually looked that one up because I didn't have a Genesis, didn't get to play it. It looked really clever. It looked really cool.
Yeah.
Mark goes on to say, overall, I've enjoyed them, but playing the ones meant for co-op, but playing alone is not a key to enjoying my time. That being said, I love the style. The graphics and gameplay make for a fun and engaging time. I would need to find more options for solo gaming and one that's not as hard as Cuphead. Cuphead, I don't know, I would consider Cuphead a beat 'em up. First off, it's shooting mechanics,
it's a
right?
shooter, right? Yeah.
Like, to me, that's like a run and gun, like a Contra. That's more akin to Contra.
I would say I agree. It's closer to a Contra than a.
But Cuphead is also just boss fights, right? There's not even any.
Oh, is that right?
Like you don't actually go to. Or no, they added stages, didn't they? Like originally it was just boss fights.
Yeah, I don't know, because then they have the plane levels too.
Yep. But anyway, part of the reason I picked Mark's comment was mainly because of Double Dragon, which was a game I played like crazy when I was a kid. But that one, it had a multiplayer component, but you didn't get to play at the same time on the NES. The arcade one, you could play together. Billy and Jimmy, one was red, one was blue.
Is this where they fought at the end over the girl?
Yes. That was in the original Double Dragon, if you beat the game together with a friend, beat the final boss together, then you had to fight each other. Which I never made it that far because that game is hard.
Yeah.
But that one had a fun like level up mechanic too. Do you remember that? Did you ever play Double Dragon?
I mean, I'm sure I played it, but I don't remember a level up mechanic.
But I remember this is like NES era, like an 8-bit game where you earn points for defeating enemies. And once you reach a certain number of points, you gain an extra. They have these hearts at the bottom of the screen, and every time you get a heart, you unlock a new ability. So, like the very first one you get is the uppercut. So up to this point, you're just punching, punch. Once you get that heart, now all of a sudden the last punch is an uppercut and does more damage.
Oh,
so it became a strategy to try to figure out the way to get more points, and the way to get more points was to do attacks that did less damage because each punch was a point. So instead of kicking, you punch because the kicks were more powerful, but you would kill the enemy too quickly and not get as many points as you would if you had punched them. So that was like that was a really cool thing when I was a kid.
Didn't River City Ransom have like shops and stuff?
Yes, it did. That was like a really cool. It even had like RPG mechanics, like where you would actually like have different stat attributes and things, and then you walk around the city and go into shops and buy things. What's funny is like they made sports games with those same sprites. There was like a volleyball game and a soccer game on NES, World Cup and Super Spike V-Ball. And there was actually a cartridge that had both games on it. And all the players were the exact same sprites from River City Ransom. And
nice.
It was awesome. World Cup was great. That game was so much fun. Anyway, Mark, thank you so much for the comment. Double Dragon, play that a lot. I did not like Double Dragon 2. I don't know. Some people are probably hating me right now. I don't remember playing much of Double Dragon 3 either, but did you ever play Double Dragon Neon? I'm assuming not, since you don't like the genre. But everyone like really raves about that one. Like I could not get into that one. Any other ones on my list? You mentioned Sky Pilgrim versus the World. I thought that was a lot of fun. Beautiful Joe. Would you consider that a beat 'em up?
Huh. For some reason, I didn't.
Because it's definitely side-scrolling, but it doesn't have the multiplayer component. So it doesn't really fit the rules that we set.
I guess in my head it was always a platformer, but I guess you do a lot of fighting. Yeah,
because you could slow down time and speed up time. It was all melee combat.
I mean, if we're counting that, then that'll be my favorite beat 'em up because I love Beautiful Joe.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I got a glitch halfway through the game that kept me from being able to proceed any further, and I did not go back and restart it. So I've never beat it. But I thought it was great when I played of it.
I think there was a Beautiful Joe 2 demo on PS2 where if you played it and like saved or something, it would corrupt your memory card. So great track record, Beautiful Joe.
I thought Beautiful Joe 2 was a thing. Did that not come out?
No, it did.
Oh, I thought you said demo. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was talking about the demo.
Oh, okay.
I was saying the demo would wipe your memory card.
Oh, I got you now. My bad. Anyway, what else do I have? Maximum Carnage was on my list as well, which you talked about already. Sure. And then my last one is actually one I have not played, but I always wanted to, and that was Dragon's Crown. Have you ever seen Dragon's Crown?
Oh, yeah, from Vanillaware.
Yeah. Like it originally came out on PS3 and Vita, and I never played
Sentinels, Aegis Rim.
What's that?
They made 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. What a gorgeous art style that game has, though.
Absolutely.
Like, I wanted to play it just because of how it looked. Like, it just looked very highly detailed. Did you play it?
I have not played it. Let's play it together sometime.
Let's do it. I don't think we can play on PS3 online together anymore, but...
They made a PS4 port.
Did they?
Dragon's Crown Pro.
We need to make that happen, dude. I would love to do that.
I'm all on board for Vanillaware now.
After
cool. 13 Sentinels, I want to check out all their games.
And I think that one's got some RPG mechanic type stuff in it too. I think they said the article I read said it was very heavily, heavy RPG mechanics, which is intriguing to me. Like how heavy are those mechanics? So
yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Their art is insane.
It's crazy. Like it feels like a game where they're going to have all this detail where you're going to see this thing for a minute and then never see it again.
Yeah. But they just can't help themselves.
Right. I want to try it. We don't need to add that to the list, put it near the top. Let's go to the comments and see what everybody else said. I read a couple already, but why don't you start over on Facebook, Zach?
Sure thing. Brandon Smith writes, I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for me to politely request that the term beat 'em up be forever replaced with the abbreviated version bum up.
Bum up.
Right. Or beam up, but if I assume he's going for the shmup thing.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be boom up? Yeah. Anyway, it sounds every bit as stupid to me as shmup. But if I have to hear that term 50 times a week, then I insist that the people who use it just go all in. Either that or realize that calling it a shoot 'em up, a shmup, is as ridiculous as pointless as calling it a beat 'em up, a boom up. And just stop already. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now. No problem, Brandon. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed our boom up episode, and it's this is a shout out to you.
I've never made that connection, but yeah, we say shmup, but we don't say boom up.
I mean, shmup is as meaningless as Metroidvania.
But you know what they're talking about as soon as you say the word. That's the thing.
What, shmup?
Uh-huh.
I'm saying if you're new to gaming, shmup means nothing to you.
Correct.
But shoot 'em up tells you what you need to know.
But also, if you're new to gaming, first-person shooter means nothing to you either.
Sure, I don't know. What are you talking about? It's a shoot. You shoot things whilst looking through somebody's eyes.
Right, but you may not know what that means.
Well, you've read books. There's a first-person and third-person narration in books.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm not really arguing with you, but
let's fight.
But when I hear first person versus third person, I'm thinking a point of view from a story perspective, not how I'm visually seeing the game perspective. You know what I mean?
Maybe I was just too ingrained with video games at a young age, because when I think about first person narration, I am thinking about we're seeing the story through their eyes. Or if it's third person, we're seeing them live the story.
Right. But I thought Brandon's comment was hilarious. Bum up.
Bum up?
It just doesn't roll off the tongue quite as well as shmup.
Well, that's why we use shmup. It's just fun to say.
It is.
Shmup.
Yeah.
I hope he's loving this. Shmup.
Shmup. Brian Lewis says, I think the GOAT would have to be Turtles in Time, but man, Sifu is something truly special, and I wouldn't have played it if it wasn't for Zach. So, thanks, Zach. You got somebody to play Sifu, man.
Hey, Sifu's great. You know what? I guess Sifu is a beat 'em up in third person.
Yeah?
I can't really think of any reason, because you're even picking up weapons from the environment that you use until they degrade and break.
That's definitely a
beat 'em up,
a boom up thing.
A boom up. You're absolutely correct. I'm sorry, I spoke out of turn. Yeah, no, I never thought about that. Here we go. Sifu, my favorite boom up.
Did you ever play Turtles in Time?
I played the Ubisoft remake. Yeah, I think it was a PS3 360 era.
I think I played I played it on Xbox at some point.
Yeah,
but that was the first time I had done it. No, I played a little bit of it on SNES, but I never completed it. I remember because that was the one where you could actually like fling the guys at the screen, right? And they had like that Mode 7 thing. Where
I don't know what it looked like on SNES, but yeah, I remember that. Because was there a level on a pirate ship or something?
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah. Okay, so I played Turtles in Time, but I played the Ubisoft one. That was probably back when Ubisoft was a brand where I was like, oh, if Ubisoft's making it, it must be good.
You don't think that way anymore, do you?
That was a long time ago now. But Sean Coates writes in, I've always enjoyed beat 'em ups as a kid. The 90s truly was the best era for classic games of the genre. Streets of Rage comes to mind, Final Fight, Battletoads, Double Dragon, just to name an obvious few. I know the genre took a backseat in the late 90s, early 2000s with the rise of the industry fully shifting to 3D, along with the rise of open world games and first-person shooters. I'm happy to see they're making a comeback, at least in the form of how I remember them. The new Battletoads and Streets of Rage 4 made me feel like a kid again. I can't wait to get my hands on Shredder's Revenge and the Cowabunga Collection.
Oh, man. Yeah, so that Cowabunga Collection is doing nothing for you. Is it?
No, but when I saw it, though, it was still exciting because I'm like, oh, it's so cool that's rounding up history like that.
Yeah.
That's getting obscure Turtles games. It's super cool.
That's true. And I actually really have fond memories of the Game Boy ones. Fall of the Foot, I think was the one that stood out to me. I don't know why. That game I remember thinking was really cool, but I was also early on in my experience with the Game Boy, so it's kind of one of those... one of the first games I played on the Game Boy, so it's obviously awesome. I
always forget that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles started as a Daredevil parody until I remember that the bad guys are called the Foot.
I have no idea what you're talking. It was a Daredevil parody?
Yeah, it was. So the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics by Kevin Eastman and oh boy, I can't remember the other guy's name, so that's not nice. But it started off as a Daredevil parody.
I don't understand.
So Daredevil's ninja clan that he's always fighting is called the Hand, and that's why the TMNT fights the Foot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Splinter is named Splinter because Daredevil's teacher was named Stick.
I did not know this.
Yeah, and that's why they patrol New York and all, like, because your comics were originally in black and white and somewhat violent as well, because they're really trying to like poke fun at how self-serious Daredevil was.
Well, it's the same way with the Turtles graphic novel, wasn't it? Wasn't that all in black and white except for the bandanas? And they were all red originally, Nate told me.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what No, he is right about the Turtles. Yeah, the Turtles was in black and white. Daredevil was in full color.
Oh, okay.
It was just Turtles because it was an indie comic. They couldn't afford a color, so they just colored the bandanas, which were all red.
That's fascinating. I had no idea.
Oh, man. Well, hey. Now you learned something.
I learned something, yeah. Over on Discord, Thomas Bex writes, I used to play them a lot when I was a kid and teen, but I grew out of them when I traded my Commodore 64 for a PC. Beat-em-ups are generally limited to consoles, and my reflexes weren't great for those kinds of games anyway, so I moved on from them. So see, there you go, man. You got someone else that is not a big fan of them either. You're not alone.
I would have assumed that Thomas, point-and-click adventure extraordinaire, would not have been a beat-em-up guy.
Yeah. It probably would have been a good guess for sure.
Let's see, and then Ferris writes in, "Oh, the memories! But these were Need a Friend games. Far more enjoyable when you eat your pals in there too." You know what? That reminds me of frickin' Castle Crashers.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention that one
because that was an early XBLA game, and I love the art style because it's very Newgrounds Flash animation style.
I guess it did like Alien Hominid, right?
Yeah, which I did like, but and I remember everyone begging me to get it, and I think it was a 1200 Microsoft Point game, not an 800. It was like one of the first ones that did that, which is $15 instead of 10 for people who for people that didn't exist in that era,
right?
But people were begging me, but I knew I wasn't going to like it because I knew it was a beat 'em up, and then finally I caved to play with 3 of my friends. And it sucked.
I didn't like it either.
I hated Castle Crashers.
Everyone like puts that game on like a list of like one of the best beat 'em ups ever, and I just did not understand it.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I obviously was predisposed to not like it, but I feel nice that you back me up.
No, I mean, and I like the genre better than you do.
That's what I'm saying.
And I just did not understand everyone just fawned over that game and just like how awesome it was.
It was insane. It was like it was a real cultural zeitgeist moment. Everybody was playing Castle Crashers.
Yeah. And even when I was like I said, I was trying to Google names of games of bum-ups, and look what you started, Brandon.
Yeah.
And people would create these lists. This one was on everybody's list as best beat 'em ups of all time. And I tried it. I actually went back to it because a friend of mine wanted to play a game together, and it just happened to be a game that we both owned, but played very little. And I fired it back up, and I'm like, why was everybody so into this? Somebody please tell me what made that game so good, because I kind of like beat 'em ups, and that one just did nothing for me. Nothing at all.
I understand when it came out, there wasn't a lot like it, so maybe that has a little bit to do with it.
Well, plus it was like a game you could play with 3 other people online.
Right, on Xbox, and it was easy to get into.
Mm-hmm.
So it might just be a time and a place thing. But even I played it at the time and the place, and I was like, I don't understand when everybody's losing their mind over.
I don't either. So anyway, thanks for all the comments, everybody. Really appreciate y'all writing in. Zach, sorry it wasn't a topic that was up your alley, but I still thought it made for an interesting conversation.
Hey, I had opinions, I don't know.
Hey, it wouldn't be as interesting if we agreed all at the same time, right?
You say we can't always agree.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, stay tuned for our topic next week on the social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, and Discord. We have not come up with that topic yet, but and we're not sure who's going to be on next week. We're just kind of playing it by ear until things kind of go back to normal at some point. So stay tuned for whatever that topic is going to be next week. That is going to do it for this episode of the Gaming Outsider. Zach, any parting words or recommendations before we get out of here?
Do yourself a favor, read some Daredevil comics, okay?
Yeah?
While we're thinking about it, I just started reading Chip Zdarsky, who's the newest writer on its run, and it's exquisite.
Oh, yeah?
So how about that? Do yourself a favor, read some Daredevil. Everybody's all excited about the Turtles. See where, read what inspired the Turtles.
Now I'm intrigued.
Read some Daredevil. Dude, yeah. I can't believe you didn't know that. I really thought that was common knowledge.
No, is there other parallels besides the, Splinter and the Foot?
I'm sure there are. I'm not well versed in the Turtles to really know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
interesting. We are as of, let's see, what's today? Today's Sunday, so we're like 5 days away from the release of the new Coheed and Cambria album. Comes out on Friday. I'm very stoked. There's 4. I don't think I've ever had an album that I've been this excited for, but that they also released like a third of the album already. Like I just never have seen that happen before. There's 4.
I guess that's kind of the modern era, right?
Yeah. It's just how you gain popularity and stuff. But you'll also never hear Coheed on the radio. Like it's
just the next chapter of their saga.
Yes, and there is a child involved.
Wow.
That is, I mean, I don't know the story, but just from like the box art and the art that was at the concert that I went to see, it appears that they have a son together, but I have no idea how it plays into the story. So, did I tell you I started reading Year of the Black Rainbow? Because
that's the book, right?
Yeah, it's not the first book, because like the first book was the Amory Wars, which you were kind enough to gift me. And I haven't started reading them yet, not because I don't want to, but because I want to kind of do the story in order. And the first book is actually like a novel, not a graphic novel. So it's only like 300 pages or something like that. I need to go through and finish it. I took it when I went on a camping trip, and had a lot of peace and quiet, and just actually sat down and read a book. It's an interesting story. I don't think it's super well written, but the story is really interesting, and I'm eager to get into the comics and see stuff a little bit more visually. But I don't know, the opening chapter where you see Coheed and Cambria is awesome. I had no idea it was that. It's not a comic book, but it's that comic booky. Like the powers that they have are very superhero-y. Like he can turn his arm into like a giant blade and things like that. I was not expecting that kind of stuff.
I think it's it's a cool idea what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Telling the story across mostly music, but these other formats as well, and it all one giant narrative they're telling over decades. That's super cool.
Yep. Very cool. So yeah, by the time this episode comes out, it will be 1 day away from the release of that album, and I will be listening to that album quite a bit this summer. So very excited. Anyway, everybody out there, thank you so much for listening. Would like to remind you that The Gaming Outsider is produced by Nate Lucas, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. You can find his website at stemagemusic.com, STEMAGE music.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, this is Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.